bring
church
50,000.
church will never be the same again. Church will not positive. So many things that were very unnecessary in our social life. We are now going to prioritize what is necessary. Must we do this? Must you have that destination party? Must you have that meeting? Must you have that meeting in that location? Must you gather 6,000 people and mingle just to hear somebody deliver a speech? Why can't I sit in the comfort of my home and hear that speech and react to it the way we ought to?
Mena Ajakpovi, it's good to see you.
Thank you. How are you doing?
It's been quite a while.
Yes, it's been a while. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Where are you right now? Because the last time I saw you, whether you were flying over Germany or either you are in Switzerland or something. Where has your travel taken you?
Everybody is where he is. Everybody is where they are. They're at home.
We are forced to be at home. That is our new reality.
Yes.
I just want to start off, ladies and gentlemen. This is Honorable Uber with Real Relationship Television. Today we have a distinguished guest all the way from Lagos, Nigeria, Mr. Mena Ajakpovi, who's going to just talk to us about projections. Where do we see ourselves in the next in the next couple of months, if not years? Sir, did this COVID-19 and what we had to, did it take you by surprise? I was saying that the events of the past couple of months, did it take you by surprise?
Well, it took everybody by surprise. If surprise means the lockdown, but if it's to the extent that we already knew in the news that something was going on in China, then it's not surprise, because my people we have a parable that says, a war foretold does not catch a lame man unawares.
Yes. Do you think that the world responded the way they should have, the way the thing has spread and affected the whole world?
Well, the world responded the way they were meant to respond, because nobody has experienced this. The last experience of anything like this was in 1918, and the response was not like this. So the world did not understand properly the gravity of what we were facing. That was why Italy responded the way they responded. That was why Germany responded the way they responded. That was why Britain responded the way they responded. And that was why the USA responded the way they responded. They did not really appreciate the gravity or the extent to which the devastation will go. So against that background, we can say it was the response that was meant to be.
All right. Looking at what has happened now, the way the use of face mask. So some months ago we thought it was just for those who were in the hospitals, but right now it's becoming something that everybody. Do you think it is here to stay?
In epidemic, they used face mask. Yes, I was talking about the use of face mask. That is the first line of defense that the individual has to the virus, and it's what we're doing at the moment, and it's here to stay for the time being. As long
projection, how is it going to change the way business is done?
Well, the life that we used to have is gone. We should face up to that reality. It's gone because a new life has come or is introduced to us by necessity. We'll never do things the way we used to do before. We used to travel for meetings at the drop of a hat. Now we can't have those meetings just the way we used to. I used to attend a meeting once every year. I have a particular meeting I used to attend at every May, the spring of every year. And this time it was going to be held in Singapore. Of course, it never held. I remember that I was going to close a transaction just on 17th of March. And what happened? Nation transaction for jurisdiction, Vietnam, London, New York, Lagos. And we're to go to New York to close the transaction. And when we saw what was happening, we called for a virtual contract, a virtual closing. This is what has never been done before. We used to face each other and do the transaction and exchange documents. But we called for a virtual closing, and it took place successfully. So you can never tell me in another 2 months or next month for such a similar transaction that you travel all the way to your country to come and close the transaction. Virtual closing will just take place. Now, there's a conference that I organize also in June. This year, we've decided to hold the contract, to make the conference a virtual conference. So virtual is the new reality. Virtual meeting, virtual hangouts, virtual everything is a new reality. The impersonal interface, physical interface is going to be reduced drastically. And wait a minute, it saves a lot of trouble. It saves a lot of convenience. It saves a lot of, risk. So it is a new norm that we're going to face in businesses now. Air travel has also changed. The travel protocol is going to change drastically. I remember before 9/11, we used to just walk into a plane and you board and that's it. 9/11 happened and the travel protocols changed and we were faced with stringent conditions before you board. Now it's going to change. Before you travel on the plane, you're going through immigration screen, the procedure, the protocol is going to be very stringent. So it's going to discourage travel. Hospitality business, because you don't know who lived in that room, who stayed there, or who is in the next. So there are so many uncertainty. The risk is just so high. Now the risk is going to drive people to carry out their transaction in virtual plane. And the technology abounds. We have the technology. I'm talking to you in the States. Now I can see your face. You can see my face. We used to have it on Skype, but we used to just resort to it once in a while. Now it's not going to be a convenience. It's not going to be compulsory that we do it, but it's going to also be wider. I just had a meeting, family meeting this morning. My siblings are in various countries, and we had a meeting this morning. We could hear ourselves, we could see ourselves. So that is a new normal.
So some of this that seemed to be a negative is now become a positive. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's positive. So many things that were very unnecessary in our social lives. We are now going to prioritize what is necessary. Must we do this? Must you have that destination party? Must you have that meeting? Must you have that meeting in that location? Must you gather 6,000 people and mingle just to hear somebody deliver a speech? Why can't I sit in the comfort of my home and hear that speech and react to it the way we ought to react to it?
So someone said it is going to lead to antisocial behavior and depression because you are alone, you are locked up.
It's virtual. You still see the people. You can still communicate. I'm communicating with you now. I can see you. I don't have to touch you. I don't have to hold you. I can have meaningful conversation with you. It is the barrier between us is distance. So before
what is the value
and meet?
What is the value of a touch and a hug? What is the value?
The value is emotional. The value can be synthesized in emotion. I can't put a monetary sign behind it, but it starts with emotion, and how you resonate with those emotions is a personal thing.
If you are watching on Facebook and you have some questions for this lawyer here who's telling us that this is a positive thing, that many transactions that we normally do, and many church programs, people travel all the way from Kaduna to Lagos to attend a church meeting. You really don't need to sit down in your house. You are going to be safe. There'll be no accidents on the way. You're going to spend less money. No money for. You're not going to spend money for hotel bills, and you will still have a meaningful conference. I think it's something to look into. But I want to ask, how is the advanced fee fraud? Is it going to escalate at this time? Because you're talking about virtual, and this is the realm most of these players are working.
Make it spike. It's going to be the way it is. As a matter of fact, it will lead to discovery the fakeness or the fraud in the transaction. Because as against using emails, you will now have to see the person facially. You may now have to demand a Zoom conference. You may now have to demand certain things that would expose the reality of the transaction. So whether it will affect it drastically, I don't know. I can't really say. But everybody will be on the same starting line. That's the important thing. Everybody will be on the same starting line. Nobody has an advantage over the other. It's a norm across the world. So we'll see how it affects it.
You know, and when I look at it, I think it opens the doors to opportunities. How many internet service providing, provision companies? I think it should open the doors to more business, if in terms of security and internet services. Because I don't know, in Nigeria, who are the major players in internet service?
Okay. So this is a global phenomenon. That's the starting point. Now, this is going to lead to new development, new discovery in technology. And it is happening just at the nick of the information age is in. Augmentation is entering. When I mean augmentation, the age heralded by artificial intelligence things is a new frontier. And it's just coming at a time where the necessity and the preponderance of development is going to just weigh on us, that would accept it and will see new development, and it will be new normal for us. So it is very, very positive, and it's coming at the nick of time.
Recently, our children have had to go to school, normally, but now within a couple of weeks, they were all set up to have their schooling online. I know it has its own negative effect in terms of that interaction. Children need to interact. They need to have some sporting activities, but I'm sure we'll find a way, but it will have its own effects. How is it going to affect the entertainment industry?
Like I said, everyone is on the same starting line. So there's no person having an advantage over the others. We're on the same starting lines. Even in the entertainment space, everybody will be on the same starting line. You will not have concerts, e-concerts. We'll not have e-shows. We'll not have everything e. So because no person has an advantage over the others, we will not train how they have technologies. So every person would have to fight for his stuff. That is what it is. So if we don't go to cinemas, you have to meet us halfway. If we don't go to the concerts, you have to meet us halfway. There has to be a way, and business must go on. Movies we will produce, and they have to be delivered somehow. So that's the new norm.
I think it's going to affect. Now we're going to see the value of subscription. If you have a lot of subscribers, people who listen to you, then you'll be forced to come up with content that is of value.
But your subscription has to be on a platform, like Netflix, like YouTube, so.
Yes.
You have to also produce the film first of all. How are you going to social distancing is the normal day when the way you used to. So we have to devise a way, and through the process of edition, you'll be able to put things together and go ahead. So for instance, let me give you something. Let me give you an example. It's a strange example. Before now, warfare used to be by soldiers. You go to the place, you move down and everything. But now is the age of the drone, that from Nevada, an air base, a military base in Nevada, you control the drone to go deliver a laser-guided missile in Iraq. That's warfare now. So the production of movies, we must go to a particular location, or having production of music used to be doing a particular studio, or production of a movie has to be. So we are looking at a situation where I sing my part, I play my part, the other guy plays his part in his room, and you synthesize everything and you come up with a product. So perhaps that's the way, or there's a particular way it's going to be done without having to bring people together so as to comply with the age of social distancing.
I mean, you are very right. Just if you're watching, we did. So we are currently. I will currently release a music track, and I was at home. I had a keyboard behind me, and I called my friend who had a studio in his house. I gave him the notes, and I said, you know what? I need this thing produced. I need it on iTunes this week, even though we're on lockdown. I need you to see exactly what.
For a moment, I didn't remember you were nearby. For a moment, I didn't remember your unfailing love. For a moment, feel like it's dormant on me, but I'm reminded by your word I've been set free. I will not fear. I will not fear. You are with me. You are my strength.
Michigan, and part of the songwriters was someone in the UK, and the person who did the music is in Nigeria, and the person who added the choir voices is in Canada, and we have something that we put out there to encourage people. You are so definitely right.
You see what it is. So you have to devise ways to get going, and that's it. And it's all turns down, it boils down to technology. Technology is a spin.
I think let's friends out there, I need you to get ready for a new kind of way of living, to think out. This is the time when our teacher said, think out of the box. If you are doing church, I know some of, initially when I was watching some churches, they found it very difficult. They felt constrained not to hold their services. But I'm sure they figured out now you really don't need to bring 50,000. 50,000.
Church would never be the same again. Church would never.
Are you sure? I hear some pastors say they cannot wait to have their members in front of them. Do you think that this is going to be altered?
In the book of the Acts of the Apostles, the church was in house. In our various homes, that's where the church is. The congregation of people is going to be a purely voluntary thing.
I'm going to pull that up. You just made a reference to the book of Acts. That's, they met in families, they met in houses. That the Church of Jesus really should be meeting, should go back to the. So you mean the era of gigantic buildings are over?
It's that institution is gone, or rather is exiting. Let me not say exiting. Okay, so tell me, it's the 1 month of lockdown. During this period, has the church gone extinct? No, the church only just modified itself, modified the place of meeting. So the church was going on. The church is marching on. The gates of hell shall not prevail against it. The church will remain. But the church as a building is a contraption that is exiting. And as long as the church is in our hearts, and in our houses, and we can meet. I can have a church service with you as we are now. We can have a service where 2 or 3 communicate with you. That's a church. The contraction that building is exiting or is changed dramatically. And I dare submit.
I mean, the Bible says in the book of Acts chapter 2, verse 46, it said every day they continued to meet in the temple. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with sincere hearts. It precludes that, there was a lot of sharing, so the emphasis is not now on an expensive, big building that takes a lot of funds and does not have any, it is what it is. Your building is empty. Millions of naira or dollars have been spent on those buildings.
So just tell me, let me give you an example. If you build a church with $10 million, and I know some mega churches are building, their construction is up to that $10 million. Do you know the impact of dollars in the lives of people? If that church, if that foundation sets up a hospital for $10 million in their locality, set up something like impact society. Do you know the impact it will have on society? It may not be as simplistic as I'm saying it. There may be other ways around it. But if that institution is to deploy that formidable resources that it has into social projects, it will have more impact in our society.
So are you saying there's no value to a big building?
You tell me what's the value.
I want I want to believe in terms of
to congregate.
No, in terms
of
we're
not congregating now.
When they were building, it was creating jobs. Still creating jobs.
I have a place to congregate, but not to deploy so much resources to it.
Anyway, the good lawyer is telling us today that the way you run your church will not be the same again. With the earlier we start thinking about it, and some of this technology works well when it is enhanced. And in enhancing technology, you're talking about 5G. With 5G, this communication we are having is going to be seamless. It's going to be better. There's going to be 6G, 7G coming. Do you think? I was talking about 5G. That this artificial intelligence and the way we communicate gets better as technology improves. And 5G is the next best thing to happen to technology. I know there's all kinds of theories concerning the way technology is. Are you concerned about 5G?
I'm not concerned about 5G because I don't have the facts. The empirical facts are not within my control. I don't know it. I'm not knowledgeable in it. I've read about it, and I can't say with precision that the effect that is touted to have, the negative effect that is touted to have, that is going to happen. I don't know. I don't have empirical proof to that. But the only thing I know, I see it as a progression in technology. I see it that you have the 3G, you have the 4G, you have the 5G, and that's it. So if it's going to improve things and it's going to, because it's integral and very important to the deployment of the Internet of Things,
yes,
then that is it. Then that's the vehicle.
And you're right. Today we're talking about in the lockdown and the effects it has had. Today I hear about hunger. I was listening to a broadcast and somebody talked about hunger virus. How have we?
Yes.
So how are governments supposed to? I said suppose so that we can say in terms of this is something that can be done to mitigate the situation. People are hungry. And there's resorting to violence and all kinds of vices. How do you think we can, come in to kind of slow to find ahead?
Okay, I will speak from the perspective of my locality, that is from Nigeria, we can't copy and paste the solutions that are implemented in the Western world. We can't. We have different social fabric. Our social architecture is not like the one of the US. Our population is different. Our disposition, our ethos, and everything, the solutions that are available to us should reflect the traditions that we have. So there's this talk about social distancing. Where it's practicable, it should be adopted. But where it's impracticable, we should be able to provide another solution for us. So for instance, we can't stand and wait for a vaccine to be brought to provide a way out. Within our territory, we have first aid, we have herbs, we have various ways to treat ourselves, even before the advent of words, and most people are still using that. We can use that as a first gap. Look at Madagascar, for instance. They had 0 death, and they've been able to withstand the scourge of the coronavirus. What did they do? They looked into themselves and provided a solution that is peculiar to them within their locality. And now they're smiling to the banks. We know the solution that they've come up with. That's for Madagascar. In Nigeria, we have myriads of that. I think we should resort to that gap before the body has a solution. Even posing here for where the population is, the slum area. You can't effectively impose social distance for slums. It's impossible because of the population. It's just mind-boggling. So how do you tell people to stay within certain parameters when the houses, the infrastructure does not even afford them that ability to? So
right.
we should create something that is peculiar to our system. And I can't say for sure that we have that. So all we are doing, we're second guessing. We're just trying to remain. It won't be said that we didn't do anything. And the best that we could do is to copy and paste. But I think we should sit down and fashion out a solution that fits our circumstances.
You're right. In terms of I think we have enough herbs. We have enough herbs in Africa. We have enough herbs in Nigeria. I think our friends should go into the bush and come up with some awolowo leaf, mix it with something. I think the solution is out there.
I'm not saying that is the solution, but I'm saying that is a stopgap. Is a stopgap.
If that works,
for all you care, that may just be the solution, as it did for Madagascar. And now they are exporting it.
As somebody, one of my, a teacher, an old teacher of mine just made a comment about what you were saying about the church. She thinks that noise pollution will be minimum now that the churches are now online. Then in our street, back in my street, there are about 10 churches, and with all their.
Let's deal with about being effective.
No,
effective.
Noise is. I mean, people don't have anything to say when it's noisy. It is noisy, and it is about five churches in one street, and with all of them blaring their loudspeakers. I mean, now that there's an internet church,
the noise from Okada, the noise from the beer parlor, the noise from the machine, the factory that is next door. So those are source of noise. So you can't just pinpoint it to a church alone. So there's noise from various places, and it depends on your location. Even the mosque. So there's noise everywhere. So you don't put it at the feet of the church that the exit of churches will mean the absence of noise. No, there'll be noise from other sources. But more serious point it's just the organization, the way things are done. The way things are done. The emphasis should not be on the building. the emphasis should be on the people. It should be individual. And we can agree to support a cause. The cause does not have to be encapsulated in the building. The cause can be embodied somewhere. It's an ideal that we're supporting. So we don't need to troop down to a particular place, idolize a location for the cause to move on. That's it. The scripture says that what is true religion is this. That is what is true religion in the book of James. I don't know the particular chapter or the verse.
I will pull it up. True religion.
True religion.
Yes. James 1:27.
Yes.
That the religion that our Father accepts as pure and faultless is to look after the orphans and the widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. That is true religion.
Yes. Yes, to keep oneself. So the orphans, that's the charitable part. To keep yourself from being polluted. That's the main thing. Now, that can be achieved. The emphasis should be on these core tenets, not in establishing a physical structure. Now, so the bottom line summary of that is the edification, personal, spiritual edification and charity. Edification and charity. And you don't need a big building. As a matter of fact, the charitable work that's supposed to be done, that building undermines it.
I think this is a good call that we should look at James, pastors, churches, organizations, the United Nations, look at James 1:27. There's some wisdom that you can learn from there. That true religion is to care for orphans and widows and to keep yourself pure. I mean, if you do that, then you would have satisfied, the provisions of being a good Christian or Muslim or whatever religion that you need to care for people around you. The other day we were just in. I'm from Warri, and I need to show you what happened in Warri a couple of days ago. Here, this is Alaka Street. I don't know if you know Efru very well, but this is Alaka Street, and we're trying to teach these children about social distance. Folks were not listening. They said, we are hungry, please give us, Warri. They were shouting, rice, oh, rice, oh, give me rice, oh, rice. Oh.
Why would you be talking about social distancing when you've not fed them? Why would you be talking about social distancing when you've not fed them?
These people, they live.
Secondary, the hunger virus is.
You're right. The hunger virus is real. And we have taken it upon ourselves to feed people whenever, even going forward from now, we're trying to build food banks. So we are in Abuja, we are in Kaduna, we are in Port Harcourt, we are in Isoko, we are in Ibadan, and we are in Lagos, supporting caterers and different organizations who are feeding people. These people they are hungry. They don't understand what coronavirus is. You try to teach them, but the reality on the ground is that most people are hungry and they want to be fed, and they don't, and that's just and that is what we are giving ourselves to. This is Lagos. This is Lagos right here in Itire area of Lagos.
It reminds me of the story in the book of the Kings about the 4 lepers when they were at the gate. They said, if we stay here, we will die. If we go inside the city, into the camp, we might survive, or we might even die. So, but we can't stay here. So it's the same thing with the people who are faced with hunger. They have to do something. Staying idle and say because of coronavirus we stay at home, they will die. So, but if they move, they will survive.
So we have taken it upon ourselves. We are feeding about 1,000 people every day for the past 3 weeks. If you want to be a part of that, I'm going to give you a link to. I'm going to play a little clip here. An opportunity for you to go on our website. There's a link that you can go to, and if you want to be a part, you want to do something good. And we are talking about true religion here. We are talking about being, so our website is hands.org, and we do have a Feed the Hungry program in Kaduna, Abuja, Lagos, Delta, and in tomorrow in Port Harcourt, we are going to be feeding about 200 children. Yesterday we were in Warri doing the same thing. And if you want to give towards this cause, you scroll to the bottom. There is a PayPal option. There is a Nigerian donation through your bank account, and you can go to GoFundMe. It takes about $2 to give somebody a worthy meal. $2 is 700 naira. That's what it takes, because these people feeding them, the caterers, they still have to get get their stuff together. It's humanitarian, and 100% of what you give goes to this. And we have committed the sale of our track. There's a music track called Rescue Me. It's a song that we wrote, and from here, from the comfort of my home, we're able to put this song together. The song is 99 cents. It's less than 300 naira, and if you buy it, it's going to benefit the feeding of children around Nigeria. There's something you can do. We're saying we have government, we have churches, but it lies on you as the individual. You're at home and you want to make a difference. Go to our website, www.hands.org, Healing Hands Health Society. You can get access to buy this track, 300 naira, and I can assure you it goes straight to feeding people in Nigeria. Thank you so much, my friend and brother. I just want to ask you one more question. A vaccine, for sure. I normally take the flu vaccine every year, and I make sure my children take the flu vaccine. So if this is a type of flu, what is wrong with the vaccine? Because I've seen so many productions out there saying, oh no, I know there's some ethical issues right now in the DRC where they are trying out the vaccine on Congolese. But what is wrong with the vaccine?
I don't see what's wrong with the vaccine. We all took vaccine. When you were entering university, you were required to take vaccine. We had inoculations. And even recently, before you could travel to certain countries, you are required to have the yellow fever card. And if you don't have the card, you go to the hospital and you take the vaccine. So this is another vaccine. Once it is proven that it's just another vaccine, I don't see why it can be admitted or taken.
Because like you said, there are some countries you cannot go to if this is made law. I know that people talk about the Antichrist and all that stuff, but
this is not any Antichrist thing. Let's just stop that. This is not Antichrist thing. This is vaccine. This is health. And in any event, the Antichrist thing is not going to come like this. So this is from what I've studied, what I've read. This is vaccine for health. What I'm saying is that if countries say, because most of the people we're talking about now are the well-to-do, they are the wealthy guys, and they are the ones that travel. If some country says, okay, like in Denmark, you cannot come to Denmark unless, of course, we want to protect our people. We want to protect our people from disease. So if you must enter Denmark, then you must take this vaccine. That means most of us will have to stay at home if you don't want to abide by laws that will protect people. Here are comments about the distribution that in Nigeria 100 billion naira was distributed. I don't know. Anyway, that's 100 billion, and Nigeria is about 200 million. So who did they give the money to? We don't work for the government, so we probably don't know what's happened to 100 billion naira. But there's hunger. I saw a clip. I need to. Is there violence in Nigeria right now because from hunger? Okay. Yes. So there's a question for you. Say, how do you deal with the increase in the number of domestic violence that this has brought? Because people are now put in close quarters. People who normally would go home, go to work for hours,
they come back, so there's some distance, but they are now in a place, there's an increase in domestic violence. How do we address that?
Yes, it can only be addressed effectively through the procedure of the law. So if it is not brought to the attention of the law enforcement agents, it cannot be effectively dealt with. But on a sociological, on a social level, you have reach outs from various organizations trying to enlighten and to give orientation to people in this circumstance, because these issues are bound to arise. In terms of effective legal way of dealing with, it has to be brought to the attention of the law, and there are rules and procedures that are laid out for social for violence, to take care of violent issues that arise at this time. It was, of course, it's bound to take place. Whenever you have people locked up in a situation like this, you must have violence.
So just a couple of days ago, I was with someone from a Spotlight group from the United Nations, and she did share with me some phone numbers. I'm going to pull those numbers up, that if you are facing an abusive situation, there are numbers that you can call. I'm going to share those numbers with us today as we speak. I mean, because I think somebody, coming very soon, we're going to have a discussion with a human rights activist. Her name is Tobore Emorokwo. She's in the United Kingdom, but she's really concerned about abuse that goes on in different parts of Nigeria. We're going to have an interview on Thursday. But meanwhile, I'm also going to share with you a number. This is really, he said, if you are abused in Nigeria, so this is from the United Nations, that there are some National Human Rights Commission hotlines. If you are going through a situation, like the good lawyer has just said, it has to go through the law. And I'm sure that there are provisions, there are groups, there are governments, organizations that cater to the needs of people. So you don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to, I remember Fela and Nicola Bokuti, we are suffering and we are smiling. You don't have to do that. Don't suffer in silence because your life might just be at stake. You need to be healthy. You need to stay alive. We need you here. Your family needs you. Your children, they need you. And it's something that you just have to keep going. We can't give up. We can't give up. All right, so this is so we have had some that I've had some wonderful takeouts from this interaction, and the good lawyer says that church said, Pastor, the way you do church will not remain the same again. That we're going back to the book of Acts chapter 2, verse 4 to 6, that the church is more effective in a small group. The church is more effective in a family unit. The church is more effective at home. So you need to put that as part of your plan, your home fellowships. You need to give people, you need to delegate authority to home fellowship. We need to break it down. We need to break down, this central way of doing church. We need to break it down to more effective so that you can reach out to widows, orphans, and people in need. Use the money that you have. I listened to a pastor in Lagos, Pastor Boyo. Pastor Boyo said it's time for the church to give out the monies that they have been collecting for a long while. I mean, this is a fellow pastor talking. I'm not the one that said it. He said we have been collecting. This is the time to give back. Let's give back. I know some of us are taking loans to build our churches, so we need money from the congregation, to service those loans. But at some point, the people are in need, and they need to be taken care of. Any last words here, my good lawyer?
Well, the last word is to be diligent at this time and walk circumspectly, for the days are evil. That's the last word.
It said, be diligent, walk circumspectly.
Walk circumspectly.
I'm going to put just 1 minute. I like quoting scriptures. Walk circumspectly. We need to find that scripture so that people can run with it. Run with it. Ephesians chapter 5.
Finally.
He said,
please read King James.
Okay, King James. King James is very, I'm going to put it out there so that you can see it with me. I want you to see it. It's the scriptures.
Yes, I love King James, please.
King James says, Ephesians chapter 5, verse 15 to 20, see that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Yeah. Friends, I mean, if you are looking for a word of God for this weekend, I think you got it right here. If you put the two scriptures together, Acts chapter 2, verse 46, that the church should be in your home and that you should walk circumspectly. You should be very careful how you live, not as unwise, but making the most of all opportunity, because the days are evil. I pray that God will give us he said, do not be foolish, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. This is the time for you to know exactly this is the time to know what to do. He said, if any man lack wisdom, ask God. Don't make foolish decisions. Don't make foolish judgments. Ask the will of God, and God will show you what to do in this new era. Because this is a time none of us have seen this day before. There are things we need to do newly. I told you we just made a music track from home. I don't have the equipment, but there are resources. People have it around the world, and with technology, the track is available. I'm going to play the track even as we wind up right now. If you want to get to that track, go to iTunes. Is the name of the band is Tribes of Issachar. Tribes of Issachar. The title of the track is I Will Not Fear. I want you to go get it, download it, share it with your friends, and everything is going to be all right. Thank you so much, Doctor, my good lawyer, for coming in. Can you tell us exactly what you do? Because sometimes I see you with, are you into copyright, or what exactly do you do?
I do intellectual property, commercial law, and entertainment.
So I think we should thank you so much.
All right.
All right then. So we're going to listen to the track right now. It's available on iTunes. This track is available on iTunes. You can listen to it. It's called I Will Not Fear. Let's listen to it.
Didn't remember you were nearby. For a moment, I didn't remember your unfailing love. For a moment, feel like it's torment on me. But I'm reminded by your word I've been set free. I will not fear. I will not fear. You are with me. You are my strength. My anchor, and the Father. I do not fear. You are with me. You are my strength. My anchor. When I was in distress, you had mercy upon me. You had my prayers. You'll always lay me down in peace. Oh, my fortress, whereunto I may resort. My fortress, whereunto I may resort. Oh, I will not fear. I will not fear. You are with me. You are my strength, my anchor. Heavenly Father, I do not fear. You are with me. You are my strength, my anchor. I will not fear. You are with me. You are my strength, my anchor. Heavenly Father, I do not fear. You are with me. You are my strength, my anchor. Our Father, bless the Lord. Oh, bless the Lord. Oh, bless the Lord. My soul. Bless the Lord. I'll walk every day by faith. I'll walk every day by faith. I'll walk every day by faith. Oh, bless the Lord. I will not fear. I will not fear. You are with me. You are my strength, my anchor. Heavenly Father, I do not fear.
Healing Hands Health Society, in collaboration with our in-country partners, present Feed the Hungry Nigeria. Nigeria is on lockdown. With this stay-home order, hunger will be on the rise. We cannot fold our hands and wait. We have partnered with caterers and non-profit organizations to distribute food in Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja, Kaduna, Warri, and other major cities in Nigeria. To support the Feed the Hungry FTH project, you can send your donations to the account below. Account name: Healing Hands Health Society. Account number 0803479982, or go to GoFundMe Relief Mission to Nigeria. For sponsorship, please call 08023229290 or email us at info@hhan.org.